Hello everyone, welcome to the Gift Shop application series in which we are building this application with the help of Ionic in front end and Laravel in the back end. As of now, we are mainly focusing on the design part at first, then we are going to jump into the back end part. So this is the 5th episode of this series in which we are going to work mainly with the shipping addresses part, where we will see how to add an address and how to display it into our cart screen itself. So all these things we are going to implement in this video. So let's get started. Now, in the previous video, you have seen how we have designed our coupon screen and how we have implemented it. So there is nothing on the remove button I have done so far. Let's do it, which I missed out in the previous video and I'm going to cover up right now. That's gonna be pretty simple. I'm just going to remove the selected coupon, but before that I will add the coupon amount to our grand total just to have the same grand total without the coupon also. Now you can see this is 3098, and if I apply the coupon you will see that the price is changing, right, the total amount, and if I remove it, it's back to the same one. So I did it by mistake. I was supposed to do it in the previous video but I missed it out. So this is how we are going to remove the coupon. Now in this video, what exactly I'm going to do at first, we talked about taxation at the previous video. Go to the series first, check all the 4 videos and then come to the 5th one to enjoy it. Now I'm going to go for the cart service or the cart page. Let's go for cart service here, in which I have already defined a delivery charge which is fixed. I can do the same for the taxation also. Say like I am just passing a tax of 5 or let's say 15 in percentage, okay, whatever amount you're giving it up, or based on that the taxation will be applied. Let's give it 5. I think that will be better. Now what I'll do is, whenever you're adding the quantity and subtracting the quantity, the calculation will be done, and in that particular calculation, after getting all the stuff, I will apply the taxation on the total price. So let's get it done here. So there will be a constant called tax which will be equals to, or in fact I can set the taxation directly. So this constant tax will have total price and the percentage of that will be multiplied with this dot tax divided by 100. Okay, so that means as of now 5% of the total price, that will be our taxation, and I'm going to add that with our grand total. Grand total will increase with the help of taxation, right? And that's how it's gonna be. So let me just clear all and check it once again. And in fact, I will pass it in the model also. Let's do it here. Tax, comma. Fine. So this tax will be applied directly here. Let's check it now. If I get back, go here, click on add it to bag. Now if I check it here, you can see the taxation is coming up, and based on that the amount is changed. So that is what is happening here. If I don't pass any taxation, it's going to change. So you can play around with the taxation part here directly. Okay, now if I apply the coupon also, let's see what happens. There you go, coupon. Is it getting subtracted? If I remove it, yeah, it was getting subtracted. Let's try it once again. 99.90, it's working. So this is how the taxation is done. Now let's get back to the cart page. We need to work with the shipping one. So for the shipping address, it's very interesting to work with, because we need to at first add the addresses. But when to add the addresses? Right now we don't have any addresses. So what we can do is, on click of the checkout button, if there are no addresses, it's going to open up a page. Not a page exactly, it's going to be a model that we are going to design, but the design will be as such that you will get a form fill up kind of a stuff which will be asking for the shipping address, and once you fill it up, the address will be taken here, it will show up here, and we will be able to pass it to the placing order one. That's what we are going to implement, and you can change that also when you add more addresses, okay, which we will be looking at when we come to the backend part. For the time being, I'll fill up the form and prepare everything for getting it connected to the backend. Let's get it done now. So after the billing address only, the shipping part comes into play, which I'm going to place it here. The model that we have prepared here for the coupon one, I will have similar stuff below that also, but this time it's going to be for a different reason. So ion model, within that I'll give an identifier called add address model. Did dismiss is add address. That's going to be the flag that I will be using, and I'll set it to false. So whenever the model is dismissed, I'm going to call this function. Okay, and it will be triggered obviously when the model is dismissed, and at that point of time I'll set it to false, which means the model will close properly. And definitely it's going to open up on a condition whenever this flag, this is add address, is true, then only it's going to work. So this thing is set up. I have errors because I need to do certain things. Let's close all the unnecessary stuff. Now in the cardpage.ts file, what am I going to do here is, like the way we have done for the coupon one, is add address will be set to false initially, and I'm going to use a view child also for the add address model. Add address model, and the same name I'm going to pass it here. Okay, no errors, or do we have? Yes, we have one error actually. Okay, the spelling is wrong. That's weird actually. I don't do much spelling mistakes, but sometimes it happens. Human errors, you understand that. All right, errors are gone. Now we can start working with the model part. In the HTML, what am I going to do is, I need to pass a component which I have to create that. So add address will be the name that I will pass it here. I need to create that. Let's do it. So the coupons one only, the same place, it's gonna be add address. Fine, will be created just now. Let's get there. Components. No, actually it isn't created. Why? All right, it has created a home folder. Actually the location was wrong. Let me just delete the home folder that was created. Okay, at the top, my mistake. I forgot to pass. Okay, let me just show you properly what exactly happened. Here actually we have everything within the pages folder now, right? So pages/home. Now it's going to come up properly. Let's check it this time. So within the pages, cards, components, then we have coupons one and the add address one, the new one that we have here. So in this add address one, what will I do is, at first let's make it standalone, will be true, and imports in this particular way. Once that is done, this is for the standalone project. Again, I'm saying that. Now in the, I won't clear anything. Let's do it directly and try it. I will go to cart page ts file and import it here. Add address component. Okay. And I want to create another component. Let's create it at first. I'm not going to use it right now. So this add address component I'm going to call. Now I can simply use it. This won't give me an error, and I will get some design here. Not showing up. Okay, it will be in the model part. When this model will be called, or when do I need to open it up? Whenever I click on the checkout button. So click checkout function will be called. And in this checkout function, I will pass some functionality. Let's do it. I'll just scroll to the bottom, and here let me have checkout function, in which I will simply check if there is some address, and for that I don't need a flag to see. I need to have actual addresses. So address of type any, okay, that I'm going to call, and it will be of type null, means it won't be empty, sorry, not null. This is what I'm going to have here. In fact, I will have some addresses also, but that's the later part. For the time being, if there is some address which is set, or if there is no address set, then I'm going to do something actually. I'll simply set this dot is add address to true, and this functionality will only be applied whenever we don't have an address, right? Let's check it out now. So if I click on the checkout one, this is opening up, but I don't see anything. Why is that so? Let's see. because I don't have any content. I'll just come to know in 1 second. If I just enter the add address HTML file, and if I cut this, pass it in the ion content, which is of type full screen to be true. Once that will be done, I think we are good to try it. If I paste this particular one, now this time, still I don't see anything actually. Well, I've just given full screen and I have cleared up everything. Let's give some header part also. Then we will come to know, we'll see something. So the same header part only, like we did for our coupon one, like the back button we have there and a title where I've just given shipping details, and let's import everything by hovering on each and every one. Only needed in case of standalone project. Again, I'm saying that because I don't want you to get confused. Dismiss function in which I will call the close event emitter. Don't worry, I'm just going to define that in a second. This data will be of type any, and you might have some data or not. That's complementary. It's optional. In some cases, you don't need data, like the dismiss function that we are going to implement by clicking on the arrow back button. Now here at output close event emitter of type any will be equals to new event emitter function. Okay, no errors. Great. Now what needs to be done here is, let's check it out whether it works or not. So if I click here, still nothing is showing up. Let's check it out. Why it is not showing up something? Have we done any mistake? Yes, actually I do. I have not passed this within the ng template, which is a very big mistake I have done. Now if I pass it within that, it will show up. Let's try it once again. This time it is showing up. So you have to be very careful. If you miss out a single tag which has to be there, that might give you some errors. Still, we have sorted the things out at right time. Great. So within this particular one, I have now a close event emitter in which I will call this close add address model. So let's go to our TS file, and here I will define this up at the very bottom part. Let's do it. This is the function. It will have an event or some data. Let's call it data only of type any. Data of type any. Fine. And whenever this will be called, I'm going to dismiss in this particular way. You can in fact pass it from this function itself, but I don't want to do that because I want to show you both the variants, how you can do it in both ways. Let's check it now. If I click here, click on the back button, it's dismissed properly. Now there is another condition here. If we have some data, then we will come to know that this is an add address data. That means the address that is added. So we need to add this data to our this dot address will be equals to data. Okay. All right. So this is a small part which we need to do. Now we can get back to our add address one and start working with the designing or preparing our form. For doing so, I will have a form tag here in which form group will be used, which will hold the value of form that I'm going to define in the TypeScript just now. Let's go there. Let me enlarge it for a second so that I can show you exactly what I'm doing. Form of type form group. Hit enter. It will be imported. Give an exclamation symbol because it is not null. Reactive forms module, you need to import it because we are working with the form group. For the ng modules project, if you are using that up, definitely you need to pass the reactive forms module in your form module file wherever you are calling this particular component, whether in a module file differently or let's say you're calling it in your cart module file. So in that cart module file, you need to pass it in the imports one. Now after doing that, I need to prepare the form. Otherwise I'll get some error if I use form control name somewhere. So this is how I'm going to prepare the form here. I'll create a function called init form function in which this dot form will be equals to new form group function where I will pass certain options or the form control for each property, like I will be using pin code, then address, the proper address, then the house number, then which city, state and country you are living, because if you're going to sell it internationally, then you need all this, even country also. Then how to save it, like home, work, whichever place you want to save it, just save it in that particular way. just giving it a title. Then landmark is optional here because you might give some landmark if you have any. And let me import this form control. I don't like to see a lot of error stuff. So let's import the validators also. Only passing validator dot required in most of the places because these are the required fields. And this primary is because you want to set some, let's say some address as default addresses, which will be showing up directly into your project. Say like in the gift shop application, whenever you have the primary one, that will be selected automatically from all the addresses and will show up directly here. Okay, you don't need to select all the time, but you get an option to change your addresses as per your requirement. And whenever you don't have any address, the first address that you are going to create, we are going to make it in such a way that it will have primary value set to true. Okay, that is why this is done in this particular way. Now I'll simply call it in, let's call it in the constructor itself, init form. You can call it in ng on init also, no issues. Fine. All right, now let's go to our HTML part, and I'm going to work within my form with an ion list where I'll give some margin, ion margin, which is a better way to work with ion list actually, because some margin is required to have a proper spacing and proper design kind of a thing. Now I'm going to directly work with the ion input here, since in the latest ion input you don't need to pass it within the ion item mostly. In some cases we need. I think I have shown you that part. If not shown, definitely you can try it out. But as far as I remember, I think I have shown you. In the glass morphism login part, I think I have shown you there. So you can just check that video also. Now in this ion input, we need to pass a label. If you don't have any labels, you can simply pass this as empty string. Then a placeholder I'm going to pass. Let me call it pin code and an asterisk symbol to define that this is important or this is mandatory field that you need to fill it up. You can in fact change or work with the label also dynamically, but not dynamically. You can have the option to pass it within the ion input to change some styling or something, but I don't want to do that. Placeholder is fine to work with as of now. I'll give a class because I need to pass border to most of the ion input. So I'll just use this class to border it up properly on all sides. Then don't worry, this class I'm going to define it in the SCSS. It's not going to come up automatically. This is not a magic. This will be done by us. Then the type will be number here, since pin code is mostly a number. Form control name will be pin code itself. And there will be an error text for which I will have another line at the bottom, which you will see just now when I complete it up. Or I can show you right now also. I think you will be able to see. Okay, it will go away. Let's finish it up, then only I will show you. Enter your pin code. Fine, let's check it now. What I'll do is I will click on it and you can see that up. Now let's go to the SCSS and prepare it full border, in which I will pass a border of 1 pixel solid light gray color, very light color. Let me just show you and explain you at the same time. This is the one, and the border radius of 5 pixels is enough. Just slight border radius is good. It looks great, pleasing to the eye. And a margin top of 1 rem will be better because I want everyone, all the ion inputs or wherever I'm passing this class, to have some margin top so that they have spacing between those inputs or whatever you're using. Fine. Then let's get back and it's time to try it up. Now this particular line, the above line before the border one, that's coming because you have error text. If I remove it, this line will go away. Just check it out. If I click on it, just see the line is gone. So this line is very, very important to have because you will have the text, the error text below that. So this is good. I think this is quite good design to work with. Now I'm going to copy this and replicate it a few more times. So one, okay, let's have some spacing here. So now I have copied, I think I've made 3 replications, and before checking the design, I need to make certain changes. Second one is for the house number building, and type will be text. What next? This will be house number. You have to pass the same name as you're passing in your init form in the TS file. Otherwise you will get certain errors. So enter your house number, comma, building or anything, whatever you want to pass, not the asterisk one, building name or whatever. All right. Then or building number will be fine. The next one will be for the landmark. So for the landmark, we won't be having anything called mandatory thing. So this will be the one for the landmark where we are just passing it up. Now let me show you. So we have pin code, building, landmark is prepared. Other two I'm just going to prepare right now. Now the next one will be a text area. So I don't need this. Let me change it to a text area. Ion text area. All right, it is imported automatically. Now I'll have certain properties here. So label will be an empty one. Number of rows by default will be 1. It will be auto growing up based on the number of like the title which I pass or the description which I pass. Based on that, class is being given, then placeholder is address, type is text, form control name is also address, and error text is please enter your address. That's what we need. Let's check it out how it looks like. Almost the same, correct? Great. Now similarly for this particular ion input, I'm going to have here this city one. So the same stuff, but changed everywhere the names and everything. The form control name is city here, and this form is almost ready. Just few things are left. Let's finish that off. Now I want the state and country, but the state and country names are shorter comparatively, so you can have it in one row and 2 columns. So let me define 2 columns directly within a row. So I will just have this row and column here, okay, of size 6, column size 6, and there I'm just passing the same input fields, okay, just changing the name and everywhere, state, form control name, and here form control name is country, size is 6. That's how it's going to look like. Let's check it out. This is the how it's going to look like. So it looks the same, and this is how you're going to get the errors. So it's working properly. What's next we have in our list? Let's check it out. Well, one important thing which we need to do is this particular one, how to save it as. Okay, so save as and the label placement, because I'm just passing it as a label, and a placeholder is being passed, but along with that type and form control name is same, but there is a certain thing which I have passed is mode to be MD, because I'm using fill to be outline. How it looks like, do you want to see? Let's check it out. If I click here, just check this out. This is a different design, right? This is coming up because we have passed fill outline, and it works only on the Android device, not on the iOS. So I want the Android design here. Otherwise I won't get this kind of stuff. That is why I have passed mode to be MD for material design, and an error text is being given. Enter any name to save these addresses. Okay, fine. Let's make it shorter. Once this is done, anything else we need to do? I think one more thing is left, which is the primary one, whether this particular address is your primary address or not. And for doing so, I will be using an ion item here. So this is an ion item where lines will be none, and I've given ion margin vertical so that we have certain margin at the top and bottom part. And in the ion label, I'm setting, means given a title of set as primary address, and a toggle button is being used in which area label is must. If you don't pass any area label, you are going to get some warnings. I'm going to show you now, which is not actually a good practice. If we get some warnings like that, let me cut it. Now you will see if I open it up, you will be able to see some warnings here, right? In order to get rid of these warnings, I need to pass here area label. If I do so, just check it now, there are no warnings. If I even open this up, but there are certain errors that are coming up, don't worry, I'm going to fix that right now. So why this error is coming? Because ion toggle, have I defined it or it is taken automatically or not? Let's format the document and see. I think it's not taken. So ion toggle, I need to pass, copy it and paste it here. Sometimes you need to do it on your own. Now the error will go away. Let's check it once again, but this time once again what I'll do is I'll remove this so that I can show you whether this works or not. I'll click here, and there you see the warning is coming up. If I, let's see, have the same one once again and click on the checkout one, you see there are no warnings. So I hope you have understood that this is mandatory to work with. So the form is ready. Now we need to have a submit button here. Let's have it after the ion list. I'm going to have a div here in which I'll pass a class of ion margin, okay, in which I will have an ion button where expand will be block, because I want to take the full size, and the size will be large for the button. The color of the button will be primary color, and on click of it, what I need to do, I will call the save function, which I'm just going to create a TS file. Where is the TS file? Let's get back to the TS file, and after this let me call the save function. Okay, let's get back to the HTML part and check it out how it looks like. Okay, the title I have not given, means the title of the button. I'm just going to give it, but I need some padding top also, so iron padding top will be better because margin we have already passed. Now here I will pass it up an iron text because the button will be larger, so I want the text to be smaller, right? So I'll design it up accordingly. Now let's check it out once again. See, it is bigger. I don't want that big. Now what happens is whenever I click on it, there will be like, it will take some time. If I'm working with the backend, definitely it's going to take a little bit of time. And in that time period, I want to show a loader at first. You won't be able to see when I do it right now because it will be quite quick if I don't pass any set timeout or something, or the delay basically. So I'm not going to show you the delay, but I will be applying the functionality for the loader also, in which I will have a condition here. If is loading, don't worry about the property. I'm just going to pass it. If it is not true, that means that if it is false, I will have this button, this particular button here. I'll just move it within the condition. Otherwise, at else condition, I will have another button, but with a spinner. So this will be the iron button with the spinner name crescent. You can give any name, like circles you can use. These are predefined ones, but you can select it. Let's get rid of the error at first. How will I get rid of the error? If I go here and pass is loading equals to false, this property will be set and I will get rid of the error. So see how easy it is to like design it up as per your requirement. Once you know all the complexities or how to manage all the things, it's easy for you. And why I'm doing this, I'll give you a simple example. Whenever you're clicking on save and proceed to pay, at that point of time, a person can click twice or thrice, right? And it will take it because there is no condition which is halting that particular functionality. That is why when a loader is coming up, there is no functionality. You can see there is no click function here. So if there is no click function, it's going to show up, and if you click on it, it won't show you anything. Means it will not change. That's how it is. Now one thing is left is for the iron button. I want to change the text size. So I'll get to the SCSS file here and work with the iron button, simply passing iron text font size of 1 rem will be fine. Let's check it now. So it's quite smaller and I'm happy with the design part now. If you fill up the form or if you don't fill anything, just check it out. You will get all the errors once touched. And if you want all the errors at once, what you can do is you can go to the TS file here in the save function. If you're clicking on the save function and if your form is not filled up properly, how you can get that? You can just pass if form is not valid or invalid or function also you can use, but I prefer to use this not symbol. Then you will mark all the fields of the form to be as touched and return it. If you don't return it, it will go to the bottom and work with the other functionalities if you have to, if there is any. Now this will return. You can give some other toast message or any alert also if you want to, but I think it's fine. Now let's check it out. If I click anywhere, just see all the errors are showing up which are mandatory fields. That's how it works. Yeah, this one I have not said because this is not mandatory. This can be true and false. Okay, fine. Our form is ready. If I just type something, we can check that out too. Let's say any number, any name, landmark I won't give, address, let's say ABC. Okay, then city, let's say any X, city, state Y, country Z. Just passing the anything so that we can complete. ABC, save as, and set as primary. Let's save it and see what happens. Nothing will happen as of now, but I will be able to see the data that is coming out of it. So this is how you will see all the data along with landmark null. And where is the primary one? It is true. So everything is working nicely. Great. Once that is done, here what I can do is I will have the functionality to add the address. Okay, and after the add address will be done, I will dismiss this particular one. So this dot dismiss, and I'm going to pass, for the time being I will pass this dot form dot value. All right, but later on it's going to change. And if you want to do it right now, we can still do it. I need to create a service for that. So Ionic G service, within the services folder, I'll create an address folder within which I will have the address service in this particular way, and it will show up here. Great. So now in the address service, I'll create a function for add address. Spelling is wrong, I'll just correct it. All right. So in the add address function, let me give it off like async and try catch. I'm going to use it here. Don't worry, the functionality can't pass all of it right now since there is no backend. In the catch, I'm simply going to throw the error. It will be caught wherever I'm calling it up. And in the try one, what will I have is, I'll get the data here. So form data of type, let's say any, because I've not defined any interface for that. Let's call it form data. That would be better. Now return form data. This is what I'm going to do for the time being, along with an ID, let's say 1. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So this is ready. Great. Fine. Let's get back to our add address one, where this time I'm going to call everything within it with the try catch block, and I'm going to call the service address service here, for which I need to inject it, right? For injecting it up, I will directly call private address service will be equals to inject function, where I will call directly the address service. That's a new way. I don't need to pass it in the constructor now. That's not mandatory. We can do it in this particular process, which is okay to work with. After doing that, let's have everything within the try catch block, or you can create another function for it actually. Save and we call add address function. Okay, I didn't pass that, but it is taking automatically, which I don't want. Let me pass the form dot value there. Okay, and I'm going to dismiss that in that particular function. Add address try and catch. In the catch one, I'll simply log it for the time being in this way. Okay, spelling is wrong. Fine, sorted. Let's paste this, but here I'm going to dismiss it with the address that I will be getting, not from here. This will be data of type any, and I'll define a constant called address, which will be equals to await. Spelling is wrong once again. This dot address service dot add address, and I'm going to pass this data here, the form data. There we go. But this is still not fine. Why? Because we need to pass async here. Once that is done, we are good to go. All right, so this address will be passed now with an ID. Great. This is prepared properly. Fine. Now if I enter anything, I'll get back here. Let's design it up, or do you want to see the data at first? Let's show you the data. Let's see whether do we have anything in the cart page for this particular one to log the value. In the checkout one, the add address, I haven't done any. Let's log the value here of the data so that we can see that some data is coming up. Now I'll fill up the form. If I click on the checkout, let me just fill up any data. ABC, X, Y, Z. Don't judge me on this, guys. I just want to complete it. I'm very lazy in filling up this kind of a forms. Okay, let's check it here. What do we get if I clear it up and hit this one? In the cart page, you see this is the cart page where we can see the data is coming up with an ID. That's how it's working. So up till here, we are getting the proper data. Now we want to show this data into our cart page. And for doing that, where I'm going to do that actually, let's do it after the billing one. So I'll pass the condition here. If address, not this if, it's going to be at if address exists, that means we have some address, then only it's going to show up, where I'll have an iron list. Lines will be none, and class will be same as the billing one, because we want the border and everything present there. Okay, just the same stuff only we are going to apply. I'll have the iron header like the billing one. So iron list header, I'm going to copy it from the billing one and pass it here within the iron list. Just change some stuff like the color. I'll change it to dark color, and it's going to be shipping details. Okay, And then I have to use an ion item group because the border is given to the ion item group in this particular one. So I need to design it in the same way. Otherwise, I have to define another class for that, which I don't want right now. So ion item group, and within that an ion item will be called. Now in this ion item, at first I'll call an ion icon where the name will be location outline and the slot will be start. This location outline, we won't be having it at present, so we need to define it in the app.component.ts file, which I'm going to show you when I will be implementing that. But actually, if I show you later on, again, we have to fill up the form. So it's better that we do it right now. Let me pass it. Location outline. Hit enter. It will be imported here. Let's format this document. There you go. Fine. Let's get back to our card page, in which this is done, and after this I'm going to have an ion label where I'm going to pass the title, and within this ion label only I'll have another p tag where I'm going to define all the addresses like with its landmark, pin code and everything. And for passing those all things, I will do it in this particular way where I'll pass the house number, which will be a mandatory field. So we will have that. I know that. That is why I'm passing it in the span, and I'm checking the condition for the landmark if it is available or not. After that, if it is available, then I'll pass a comma here after passing the landmark. Then after passing the landmark, we will have the address, then the city with pin code, then the state and country. That is how it's going to be defined. So this is done. This time we will be able to see all the things. Now I will pass a proper address here. Let's see, ABC apartment. I won't pass any landmark for the time being. Let's say Karol Bagh. City will be New Delhi, Delhi, India. And save it as home. Okay, set as primary. There you go. If I click on it, just check it out. It's showing up here. That's great. That's what we needed, right? So it's working. Now the shipping details is ready. What next we need to do here is, I need to pass one more thing, which will be a button to change it up. So in the, where were we? This is the place after the ion label. I will have this particular button where the slot will be and color will be secondary, size will be small, fill will be clear, so that we will have only the change button, which will be of color secondary. And it on click of it, I will open up another flag is select address, which will be basically calling all the because this means that there are some addresses, then only we have this button, right? Now I'll define this flag here at the top. Let's declare that is select address set to false initially. Okay, the error is gone. All right, even the data is also gone. So now our add address is done. It's time to work with the addresses that are available. For doing that, at first I will go to the address service and work with that a little bit. Now in the address service, at first I will pass the behavior subject so that we can cache the value in the application. Whenever we need, we can call that up. Okay, in this particular way, I'm making a getter of this addresses one. Okay, now after doing that, what I'll do is in the add address one, I will check a condition if there is some value in the addresses or not, because whenever I will be calling the card page, I will get all the addresses, okay, and from there on I'll get the primary one. But if there are no addresses, if the length of addresses is 0, that means in the form data that I will be getting here, I will set primary to be true by default. So even if you set it to false, still I'll save it as primary here. If you want to change the condition, definitely you are good to do that, but I prefer to do it in this particular way. So this is done, and after this will be done, you can return the value. We are going to work with the backend later on, then we will see how exactly we can tackle these things up. Now I'll work with the gate addresses also. So for that also, async gate addresses, and for the time being, well, I'll simply return this dot addresses dot value. Okay, because I won't be having any data here at present. That is why I'm doing that up. And whenever you are like adding a new address, you can add it to the add address value also. How it will be done, let me just show you. Let's say this one, I'll just cut it and pass it within a constant called address, which will be equals to this value. And then what I'll do is I will create a variable called addresses, which will be equals to, Okay, the addresses one is already being created. So let me remove it. I don't think I need to create. So let me not call it again and again. Let's remove it. I'll make it a variable here. Fine. So this addresses will get concatenated with the latest address. So the latest address will come to the bottom. And once we do that up, I'm simply going to pass it within the addresses.next function. That's how we'll get all the addresses in one place, and finally returning the address that we are getting here. That's it. So in this way, whatever data you have for the addresses one, whatever you are filling, it will be passed into the behavior subject, and it will be, you can observe it whenever you want. You can use it, and you can use those values whenever you want. So our functionality is ready. It's time to prepare another model for the address, means address, all the addresses, which I'm going to do it in the card page itself, for which I need to create another component. Let's do that. So in the add addresses one, I will create, just modify it, the name component/addresses. I think that would be fine. Let's hit enter. Okay, great. This will be created now. There you go. This is the function. Sorry, this is the component, not a function. Here I'm going to work with, but at first let's define the model here. So we have the add address model, and after the add address model, I'll have another model. We can copy and paste the same stuff also and change a bit, like address model. This is going to be is select address, which we have already defined, and on close address model. Now this model will be little different because we are going to have the breakpoints. I want to show only half the size of the full screen. That is why I will have some breakpoints here in this particular way. The area of breakpoints, and the initial breakpoint will be 0.7. So it's going to be more than half. It's going to take more than half of the size, but it will look good. And for this function here, let me just copy it. I'm going to pass it in the TS file. Let's scroll down. All right, let me do it here. And I'll have some data here, right? Basically, it's going to be the same data, which one is selected. And here also, I need to dismiss the data. So what I can do is, let me copy the same stuff only and paste it here, because this will be the selected data or selected address which I'm going to get, but the identifier is different. So we need to define this identifier here. Let me copy and paste it once again, change the name to just address model. Okay, great. Problem solved. All right. Let's check it out. If I just pass some data here, git primary, hit on this, nothing happens. Why? Okay, there is an error here in the add address one. Concatenate function is not working. Wow. Because the value is null. That is why maybe. Let's fix this up. I'll go to the address service here, and what should I do here is, instead of null, let me just pass this as an empty array. I think that would be great. All right. So if it is an empty array, I won't get these errors. Fine. Let's check it once again. I'll just fill up the form quickly. Let's go to the console log. Form is filled up with some stupid data, but I just want to see the functionality. Okay, fine. Something is coming up. Great. If I click on change, you can see, okay, it is opening up something different. Why? Well, I think that is my mistake. Let's fix that. I have to go to the card page, and in the card page, in the change function, what am I passing? Let's check it out. Is select address is true. If is select address is being passed, all right, that's a problem. I need to call here not add address, actually directly the address. It's going to be app address, not add address. App address is actually. All right, you need to take care of all the things in order to get started. Or anyways, now I need to pass it in the components, this particular component in the imports, and the error will go away. Actually, it's not gone, and I know the reason. In the component.ts file, in the particular place, I need to pass standalone to be true, also with the imports array. In this way, it's gonna be imports, not import. Fine. Now I think this will show up, but it is empty as of now. It won't show you any data. So in order to show some data, you need to have certain values, right? Now I'm going to start here again with the iron header part, in which I'll have the toolbar within the header, then I'll have the title, choose an address, then the iron button slot end, where I'll have the cross symbol, that is close outline. I think it is also not defined, so I'll just work with that. But before doing that, let me copy the close output emitter from here. I will be needing the same stuff only. Copy it and format this particular document here. I'll go to the addresses component, and in the TS file, let me pass it here. Okay, import all the necessary stuffs. Then you will be able to use it and call the dismiss function, where close emitter will be called, in which you will pass the data if you have any, which we are going to define in this particular dismiss function, question mark colon any. That's it. Error will go away from here, and we can work with the ion content, not in this way. All right, but full screen is must, as we are using a model, and if you don't pass full screen, it will give you some unnecessary results. It won't show you the full screen. So definitely this is the must. Now, in order to show you the design part, we have to prepare that. And for preparing the design part, we need certain data. So for having some data, I will create some dummy data for the addresses one. This is the dummy data where I'll have certain pin code, address, house number, city, state, country, save as, any landmark, and primary is true or false. Okay. So this is prepared, and I'm not going to return this. In fact, what I'll do is this dot addresses dot next. I'm going to pass this dummy data. All right. And I'm going to return this dummy data also. Okay. This will be done. Now this data, I need to pass it from the card page to the addresses one, because in the card page, it will be called only once. And if I keep on calling the addresses one, it will be like calling the API again and again, which I don't want. So one time calling is enough. That is why, let me pass it here. Private address service equals to inject address service. Okay. Now in the ng on it, after this card subscription, I will have get addresses function and subscription for the addresses also. Let me define it here. For the addresses one of type any array, which will be equals to an empty array. And what else do I need to do is I need to define this address sub also, address sub, which will be not null, and subscription type. Okay, I need to pass that in the ng on destroy also. Don't forget this to avoid memory leaks. Address sub dot unsubscribe. So memory leak problem will be solved with that. And this get addresses function, I need to like define it here. Okay, let's work on that. Now in this particular function, what I'll do is I'll directly call the addresses from the, let me enlarge it, from the address service dot get addresses one, and let's make it a sync here to get rid of the error. Now if the length is greater than 0, I will get the primary data. So the primary data will only be, there will be only one record at a time where we will have the primary record. Okay, so how we can tackle that up? In the dummy data also, which we have prepared, I have more than one primary data. That is why I did that. Not actually, oh, sorry. I thought I have. Now in the dummy data also, which I have prepared, you can see there is only one primary record. So this primary record will be tackled out. And whenever you are replacing it up in the backend, we are going to do in such a way that it will make all the other primaries as, means the one that is primary as false, and move ahead with the latest one as the primary one if you are setting any. That is what we are going to do. I hope it's clear to you. Let's get back to our functionality for the, which one? Cart page. We have the data now, right? Which will be stored in the address one, and where we are going to have the addresses value, this addresses value, which will be in this particular place that we have defined for the subscription part. Once we get the addresses, I need to pass it in this particular one. So I will have a property in that component, which is going to be addresses only, right? That will get the value of the addresses one. Let's define it here, close it, define it here. At input, import, and pass here the addresses of type any array, initialized to an empty array initially. Fine, that's done. Great. So this is sorted now. We can try this up. Let's do it. just check it now. I have some data by default, which is the primary one. So this is coming up, and if I click on it, we don't have any design part right now, but we will have the data here. Let's work with that and design it up so that you can see the data. I hope you are understanding these things because I'm taking a lot of time to make you understand as a beginner. So I hope you are able to grab this much of a stuff. I'm explaining each and everything as if you are a beginner. So it is going at quite a slow pace, but it's beneficial for you. And if you already know some stuff, definitely you can skip some steps and follow it up. So now here I'll check a condition. If the address's length is greater than 0, then I'm going to show the stuff. And I'm going to start with an ion item group, because not ion item group, it's ion radio group, because I'll be having the radio buttons on the ion item. Whenever I click on that one will be selected. Within that I'll have an ion list, lines will be none, and again a class of ion margin I'm going to pass. Now we are ready for looping this up. So address of addresses, and you're going to track it by index in this particular way. I've already explained, there is a proper video on this. What are the changes with the latest for loop and all that stuff. You don't need to use ng4 anymore. You can use it, but if you're using Stellenum project, you have to pass it in your imports one, the ng4. Then only you can work with it. Otherwise, use this up. You don't need to do anything else. And I'm going to pass the ion item here. If you click on it, the address will get selected. So select address function, in which I'm going to pass the address. Let me copy it and pass it in the TS file before moving ahead to get rid of the error, as I want to do it at once only. Alright, it will be of type any. Fine, error is gone. Let's get back and finish the designing part. In the ion item, what I need is the same stuff only which we did into our card page. This is the one. So I can get it from their card page, HTML1, where it is. This is the one. Ion label, let me copy the ion label here. And let's get back here where I'm going to paste it. That's it. So this will be ready now. After this, what I need is, I don't need any icon at the start one. If you want, you can just design it up. I need the radio button. So ion radio will be used. Whether it is imported or not, you need to check it, confirm it, because sometimes it doesn't work and it won't give you an error also. So ion radio is ready. Great. Now I need to pass certain properties here, which is going to be this one. Slot will be AND, mode will be material design one, and I'm going to explain you why. The area label is very much important, otherwise it will give you warning like the toggle one. And the value, I'm just passing the ID here. Okay, that's it. So this is the stuff that I have prepared here. Now this mode, let me remove it, and I'm going to show you why I did that. Alright, let me click on the change one, and you can see the data is coming up, but there is nothing here. If I click here, it's working. Okay, this is the iOS design, which I don't want. That is why this mode MD is important. If I give that up and click on the change one, just see the circular one is coming up, and if you click someone, it's showing properly. Okay, so it is more interactive than the other one. That is why I'm preferring this up for this particular design. Now you have got the addresses, but you haven't got anything for adding a new address if you want to. So let me give you that option. You can simply do that by having another ion item, in which if you click on that, I'm just going to pass a value called 1. Okay, that's it. That is how I'm going to detect it in the card page for calling the add address one, because it is already there and it's a model. So I cannot call it directly from here. Otherwise I need to use services or some other stuff in between, but it's better to do it in this particular way. Now here I have a add button. Along with that, a label also is being passed. Let's see how it shows. This is how it's showing up, and I'm okay with this. Now for the designing part, let me go to the SCSS file and do a little bit of designing with the font sizes. So ion label font size 0.9 rem, and the P tag will be 0.7 rem, little smaller, so that it can fill up the proper size. Along with that, margin top of 3 pixel will be enough between the ion label and the P tag. Okay, within that ion label only. So this is now looking proper, I think. If you want to increase the size, definitely you can try it here. Okay. Alright, so this design part is done. Now it's time to work with the functionality here. Dismiss function I have already called. So I need to tackle it in the cart page. In the cart page, whenever this model is getting dismissed, where it is, scroll down, close address model. Whenever this model will be dismissed, I need to check if there is data and data equals to 1, then we have to do something, right? So if data is present and data, or let's do it directly, if data equals to, let's do it here within this condition, so that I can exclude one condition, which is there is no data. Here I'm going to check if data equals to 1. What am I going to do? I'm going to set is add address to be true. Okay, and in the else condition I'll set this dot address will be equals to the data that I'll be getting. Okay, that means the one that will be selected. So let's check it out. If I select some, let's say work. Okay, I don't have any button here, so I need to give a button actually. Let's finish that up. I thought I finished it, but I missed out a thing. Or actually I don't need, if I select this up, it should do it automatically. So I need to check the functionality here, which I missed is this particular function. If this function is called, I'll call directly the dismiss function itself, or I can do it from there only. Why to call this function? Let's get back to the TypeScript one. Where is the error? This is the one. I'll call the dismiss function directly. That's it. I don't need to do anything else here. Fine. Now this is work. If I want to change it, I'll change it to home. It's coming up. Then another one. It's working. Now this design also I think I haven't changed, or what? Let's check it out in the cart page. SCSS, I don't think I have worked with that. So I won't make much of a change in the cart page SCSS file. In the ion item group itself, after this ion label, I'll simply pass a p tag where I'll define the font size and the margin top of 3 pixels will be enough. Now it's fine. That's it. Let's get back to the HTML one. Now here, there is something very important which we need to look into. What is that? Whenever we are clicking on the checkout one, what is happening is we are getting redirected to the shipping details page or add shipping addresses one, because we do not have any address at that point of time. And if we get the address after that, what we are doing is we are getting the address and we can navigate here to the payment one. All right, navigate to payment if there is some address there. So this will also be conditional, because if I'm calling something from add new address one, then what I need to do? I won't be getting redirected to the payment one. I need to just have it here and click on the checkout button, because in the earlier case when we are clicking on the checkout and we are filling up the form, I don't want to wait to click on the checkout button again. I just want to redirect to the payment gateway or whatever page you have for the payment options. We are going to redirect it there. All right, that is why I will have another flag for that. So the flag name will be, let me just define it here, is checkout to shipping address. That's what the name will be, and I've set it to false once again. Now let's go to the checkout function. Checkout. Okay, this is the one. Here I'm going to set this value to true actually, and in the else condition I will navigate to payment page. Okay, this will be done, and once I get the data from here, whenever we are adding it up, what I will do is I'll keep a check here if this particular flag is true or not. If it is true, I'll turn it to false and navigate to the payout page. So let me create this function, navigate to payout. All right, and I'm going to call it here also, navigate to payout function. All right, so this function will be called. We are going to work with the functionality later on, but for the time being, that's how it's going to work. So if I add any other address now, it will show up here, but that will not redirect you to the payment page. Okay, that's how it's going to work. If I click on it, just see it's working. Okay, this will be a number. Let's check it out. Everything is added. If I set it to, let's not set it to primary, I'll just add it. Once I add this up, it will come up here automatically since I'm adding a new address, and if I change it up, I can have it. It is showing up here too. Okay, So it's working nicely for us. That's great. Alright, so with this, we have successfully completed our shipping details part, right? So everything is done here. We have the coupons ready, we have the taxation ready, right? Everything is working. So we don't need to do anything else in our cart screen. Everything is already done. We can move to checkout from here, right? But we need to get going with the backend part right now before moving to the payment page. So we will do the payments part later on. In the next episode, I'm going to show you how to design the, you're just wait for it, I'll just show you. We are going to design a menu screen here, which will be having certain menu types, which is going to be pretty interesting because that's a modern design that I'm going to show you. And the login screen and all the stuff I'm going to show you later on when we enter the authentication part in the backend, because I'm going to start with the CRUD operation for the backend one to show you how to enter all this data and everything. So stay tuned to the channel, stay tuned to this particular series. It's going to be pretty interesting and pretty a large one. So you will get to learn lots of things. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video for the day. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hit like and subscribe, do all the rituals that are needed, and share it with your friends and everyone who wants to learn them. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you in the next one.